Hello and welcome to this Manor Lords map guide. I'm going to show you lots of different ways that you can use the map to improve your next Manor Lords game. If you're completely new to Manor Lords, I suggest watching my tips and tricks and starter guides. I'll add a link in the description for you. And with that said, let's get started. So here I've started a brand new game, and the first thing that I want to do is get familiar with my starting region. I can have a look at the different resources that we have available here. So you can see that we have a rich deposit of iron, we have a rich wild animals deposit, and we have clay, berries, stone, all fairly close together down here. Wild animals is a little bit further out, but actually I think that's quite nice for this area. So that's really nice. Always get familiar with where your resources are. So here we have a rich wild animals and rich iron deposits, which is really good. I'm definitely going to want to start gathering meat very early on. So having a rich wild animal deposit is really good. And knowing that that is where it is and how I position myself on the map is something really important to keep in mind. Now that we have a good lay of the land and we know where our key resources are, what we want to look at next is farming fertility and water supply. So if we just go into construction, over here we immediately get all of our different overlays and different views. If you go to underground water, you can see where the water is flowing in this region. Luckily for us, it's very, very close, but this will help inform actually where we might want to build our houses. If anything does get set on fire, they will use wells to put the fire out. So it's good to know in advance where your water supply comes from. And also, water supply is one of the early requirements for a Burgage 1 plot if you want to upgrade it and keep them happy. So I would definitely recommend doing this very early on after you have your food income sorted. Next, we want to look at the different farming fertility. We may not be building farms immediately, but it's good to know if this is a region that is going to thrive with farming or if it doesn't really have the ground that we need to build farms that really produce enough resources for us. So just looking at Emma fertility, this doesn't look too great. Flax is very bad. Barley is also bad, and rye is not too bad, but we know we need to spend development points to get there. But overall, I would say this is probably not a very good region for farming. So we want to capitalize on our rich wild animal deposit down here and make sure we get as many berries as we can during the season. If we look at our region and then this other region that's very close by and unclaimed, this looks like a very, very good farming region. So if we did want to move into farming and spend development points in that later on, this would be a great region to really excel doing that. And it's also great for flax, barley, and rye. So although we have just started the game, I think it's still worthwhile thinking about where we might want to expand, what key resources other regions have to offer, and how that might impact our battle against Hildebolt. So here you can see we're neighboring Hildebolt first and foremost. He has 2 regions over here that he's already claimed. This is our region, and then we have 5 other regions that remain unclaimed. At the moment, we have a rich wild animal deposit and rich iron deposit, but if we want to build lots of level 3 burgages, we're going to need lots of clay and turn that into roof tiles. So maybe this middle region, we want to go for a rich deposit of clay, and maybe that's something where we decide that this is the first place that we want to conquer. Equally, we could go somewhere else that we want to focus on farming, but just use this map as a really good overview to look at what resources does each region have and what resources are rich, because every region has the same 5 resources available, although there are in different amounts, even if they are rich or not. So this has 101 iron and this has 219. So although the icons may look the same, you should definitely check individually what each one has. And given that we're not just fighting against Hildebolt, we will also be fighting against these bandits down here. So this icon signifies a bandit camp. You can see this group of outlaws chilling out down here. They will probably come to attack us at some point. So knowing that they're actually in a region that's fairly close to us can help us determine how we want to play. We know how much time we might have to defend ourselves, and it's just generally good. You can go out and actually attack these bandits and clear these bandit camps if you have the troops or if you have enough money to pay for mercenaries. They're fairly easy to clear. They do offer a good amount of treasury and influence early on, so I do think it's worth clearing them. They will respawn over time, so keep checking the map regularly. and you'll know exactly where they are. There can also be more than one bandit camp at once, so just keep that in mind as well. And of course, the aim of the game is to take down Hildebolt himself. So it's good to know that these are his 2 starting regions. We can't actually see any of him actually building anything in here. These are just the regions that he owns. So it's just good to know a little bit about where Hildebolt is currently. Keep an eye on the map for what regions he might looking to claim. If you have a good idea of which regions you might want in the future, you can decide whether it's worth taking a battle to him when he tries to claim one of those regions, or you can just let him claim it uncontested and you can save yourself a battle and build up your resources instead to focus on expanding later on. But definitely use this map to stay aware of his movements, bandit movements, and just keep an eye on the game. It's a really, really useful thing. Just keep checking in every so often and it will really, really benefit you. And lastly, something to keep in mind when you are starting to take fights to Hildebolt or the bandits, you can fly over anywhere on this map and just get a look at the terrain. So it's worth keeping in mind, if you're taking a battle down here, there's a river flowing through here which might impede the enemy if you're fighting over there. There are also, in our starting region of Nuslor, you have this really nice cliff area here. So you may want to protect this cliff area with some troops over here, line up some archers on here, and then guide the enemy down through here and attacking them from the side. So just keep in mind, just have a look around the map, see what areas might benefit you in battle based on the troops that you currently have, and use that to your advantage as much as possible. It will make a massive difference when it comes to the fights. I will be releasing a combat guide in the future, so keep an eye out for that. But in the meantime, definitely take advantage of these awesome cliffs and other areas of the map. So those are a few really useful ways in which you can use the map overview to get the best out of your next Manor Lords game. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a much quicker one this time. I really enjoy making these videos, so if you do like them, please drop me a comment or a like and subscribe to the channel. There's a lot more to come. Every bit helps as I'm a small channel, so I do really appreciate it. Thanks again, and I hope to see you in the next one.